Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're joining from. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the online session of the MAVA Mediterranean Donors Fair that has been in full swing here in Tunis since Sunday night. I am Paul Gros, and I have been leading the Mediterranean program of the Foundation for the last 13 years. I'm going to give you a brief introduction to set the stage for this session, after which you will hear from our partners and have the opportunity to interact with them. I was telling you why this online session. So after 28 years of a strong presence in the region, the MAVA Foundation will be sunsetting at the end of this year. In this context, we found it appropriate and timely to showcase in front of the donor community the work of the partnerships that we have been supporting. So the purpose of this showcasing is double. First, it is about sharing the result of our last 7-year strategic exercise. We are extremely proud of what our partners have achieved, and we want to give you a flavor of the impact that this group of actors has delivered and a sense of what MAVA leaves as its legacy and on which further conservation initiatives can build. The second purpose of this showcasing is to create an initial contact between the community of practitioners that we have nurtured and potential financial supporters amongst yourselves to whom MAVA could pass the baton. I will give you a brief overview on the MAVA Foundation and its Mediterranean program and share the agenda of the session before giving the floor to our partners. So MAVA is a Swiss philanthropic foundation created and led by the Hoffman family. You can see pictures of our founder, Dr. Luc Hoffman, who created MAVA in 1994, and of his son, André Hoffman, who has been our president for the last 12 years. What defines MAVA is its strong focus on the conservation of biodiversity from field-based and local to international level, including switching towards a truly sustainable economic model that will provide a safe framework for biodiversity to thrive for the benefit of nature and people. This slide is to give you an idea of the size of MAVA investments, to highlight the fact that although we are focusing on the Mediterranean basin today, MAVA is active beyond this region, and to state the values that have animated us throughout the years and have been instrumental for fostering partnerships. These are flexibility, perseverance, empowering, and unifying. Partnerships are critical for us. We strongly believe that they are the most appropriate vehicle to carry on our legacy. In this spirit, we engage in strengthening individual organizations amongst these partnerships and on encouraging and consolidating the partnerships themselves. In addition, we set out to mobilize new donors and to support the development of financial mechanisms that can provide more sustainable funding sources than the classic donor model. For example, Conservation Trust Fund, or another example, encouraging investment in the adoption of sustainable practices by the private sector. Zooming in on the Mediterranean program, you can see that MAVA investment in the region has been major. Moreover, it has been continuous, allowing for long-term relationships with specific places and specific organizations. So throughout the period for which this figure of 420 million has been computed, which is a period of the creation of MAVA 1994 until last year, 2021, MAVA has been the largest private and philanthropic donor in the region, and our funding in the Mediterranean has been second only to the GEF investments. My point is that the closing of the foundation at the end of the year will create a major gap of funding for biodiversity in the Mediterranean. This means that there will need to be more engagement from existing donors, and also that new funders will need to start investing in the region. Now that you have the background, let me talk about the MAVA partnerships that you are going to hear from today. First, Together for the Med, which is focusing on the interaction between the protection of marine ecosystems and fisheries. Then Safe Flyways for birds, which is tackling the threats of illegal killing poisoning, and electrocution and collision against energy infrastructure, and the threat they poses on bird populations. Next, you'll hear from the Mediterranean Alliance for Wetlands that addresses integrated water resource management and the risk posed by hydropower in river basins, as well as a conservation and sustainable management of coastal wetlands. The fourth one is the Alliance for Mediterranean Nature and Culture that focuses on supporting the cultural practices that enhance biodiversity and contribute to sustain local livelihoods. And finally, the Mediterranean Marine Turtle that brings for the first time in the region an approach to conservation of sea turtle. Now the agenda. You will hear from each partnership. This is the running order. For each of them, they're present for 10 minutes and there will be a 5 minutes time for Q&A. So I'll ask you to kindly put your question in the chat, specifying your name and organization if this doesn't appear. And my colleague, Charlene Minster, will be managing the chat and ask the question on your behalf. At the end of an hour and a half booked for this event, there will be a debate between presenters, donor online, and donors present in person in the room if you are interested to stay longer with us. So I will leave you with this inspirational quote, if I manage. Sorry, I didn't go down with the introduction, but it's the same for each partnership. Next, the inspirational quote I was talking about from André Hoffmann. I let you read it. So please check out our website for more information on MAVA, on its work, on its partnership. Don't hesitate to contact me if you needed also more information or were interested in some collaboration. So with no further ado, I will give the floor to Amalia Alberini of WWF Greece, who will present on the behalf of our marine partnership Together for the Med. Amalia, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Paul. Hello, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon. I'm Amalia Alberini, and I work at the Worldwide Fund for Nature Greece, which is part of the WWF Marine Mediterranean Initiative. Today, I will present you the Together for the Med partnership, which has been resulted by MAVA's marine strategy. The best way to give you a taste of our work is through visuals. And so before the presentation, we will show you a teaser of a documentary that we've been working on that showcases the culture and the spirit of our work and our partnership. So without further ado, I would like to ask the logistics team to play the video. Thank you very much. And now I'm going to share my screen to share the presentation. And so I'd like to thank everyone for being present today, and a big thank you to MAVA Foundation to give us the opportunity to present our work. Today I will present you the Together for the Med, which has resulted by MAVA's Marine Mediterranean strategy with the ultimate goal on reducing the impact of fishing pressure on marine biodiversity in the basin of the Mediterranean. And so today, the Mediterranean Sea is in a dire state, as 80% of fish stocks is overfished. Over the past 50 years, populations of marine mammals have been reduced up to 40%. One of the most key threats being the bycatch to vulnerable species. Although at the European level, we're committed to deliver the 30 by 30 and 10% no-take zone targets, we are still very far from achieving those. As of today, only 8% of Mediterranean waters are protected, and only 0.05% are strictly protected, while 800 million people depend on fishing and seafood industries. And so until very recently, many initiatives were taking place towards reducing fishing pressures to the marine environment. But the actors themselves found that there was a lack of coherence, of cooperation and capitalization of ongoing activities. Considering the paramount challenges, there was an absolute necessity and an impetus to have a holistic approach, which takes into account the complexity and interconnection between countries, commonalities and differences and causes. Thanks to MAVA support acting as a catalyzer and providing the means and tools, we as partners co-designed a complex yet holistic strategy by placing our ultimate and common target above all, to protect the Mediterranean's marine biodiversity. Therefore, spurred by MAVA and with the same commitment to reduce fishing pressure on Mediterranean biodiversity, our partnership, the Together for the Med, was born and became public. In a few words, Together for the Med is hybrid in terms of organization profiles. It sums up to 46 partners, institutions, NGOs, research centers, private companies, but also in terms of level, from the local, national to regional. The partnership has a geographical representation covering key hotspots throughout the Mediterranean basin. We implement today 16 projects in 100 sites throughout the basin. We are fair and equal, allowing for visibility and equal access for big organizations as well as local ones. We're innovative, valorizing the partner's strengths, developing communication tools, and evaluation processes for measuring impact on the ground. We are locally based and work consistently with coastal communities, from fishers to tourism stakeholders and other coastal communities by building relationships of trust. We are combining a bottom-up approach with the mobilization of local actors, participatory science with stakeholders, and a top-down approach with institutional partners through the participation in national and regional policy fora. Together for the Med has gradually become a very rich and dynamic and unparalleled network of experts, a true partnership, a knowledge-sharing platform. Our strategy is based on 5 strategic pillars: promoting sustainable practices, engaging the Mediterranean community into action, improving the legal and policy framework, valorizing sustainable seafood, and fostering financial transition. So thanks to MAVA, many innovative and impactful conservation activities have taken place all around the Mediterranean. How we have achieved this and what we've achieved. Here you can see a few examples. We build and test common scientific data collection methodologies to address bycatch. We develop and test and replicate bycatch mitigation measures with stakeholders. As a result, in 5 countries, we've been successful into doing research and assessing impacts of bycatch to marine biodiversity, as well as testing successful mitigation tools. We map vulnerable habitats to design MPAs and carry out research, leading to strong knowledge for restoration. As a result, recently, 2 new no-take zones have been created in Turkey. 4 new no-take zones are to be designated and under consideration in Italy and Croatia. And we've assessed key nursery grounds for charismatic species, for example, in Croatia, and also assessed the effectiveness of MPAs in terms of increase in fish biomass, biodiversity, and size, such as in the Yaros Marine Protected Area in Greece. We build innovative funds to support small-scale fisheries. We work for the efficiency and financial stability of MPAs. As a result, we've done capacity building in 40 managers in MPAs throughout the basin on business planning. We have developed a new guide on sustainable financing for MPA managers, which has been developed and published. And we've also created a new mechanism for access of small-scale fishers to European funds towards shifting to more sustainable fishing practices. We empower people to create long-lasting impact and also work at the advocacy and policy level at the European and Mediterranean. As a result, we've had legal protection regime at the national level, such as in the Yaros MPA in Greece, and also contributed into the issuance of a ministerial approval of national action plans for the conservation of habitat in Turkey, but also contributed in the development of major policy foreign processes, such as into the adoption of the strategic action plan for the conservation of biological diversity in the Barcelona Convention, a regional seas agreement. What's the way forward? How do we want to sustain our impact on the ground? So from the 16 projects, we go to 6 consolidated projects for the mutualization of actions to deliver higher impact. The partners wish to continue together this journey through 6 collaborative projects which are under development, plus 1 that will continue animating the partnership. The first one being a co-management marine protected area no-take zone project that aims to continue towards achieving the 30 by 30 and 10% no-take zone objectives, also focusing on marine protected area effectiveness. The Med bycatch project that aims to scale up actions and solutions for bycatch and depredation of vulnerable species to make the existing expert coalition grow. The Food Connected project that aims to continue support small-scale production systems. The General Fisheries Commission for the Mediterranean legislation project that aims to continue strengthening the regional legal framework for the conservation of living resources and ecosystems, and which funding has already been secured. The MedPath, and the Blue Incubator projects will foster sustainable entrepreneurship in fisheries and environmental businesses in coastal areas, while we aim to keep sustaining the Together for the Med platform to continue to work to coordinate and animate this partnership. More can be found in an electronic version of a one-pager that you can see in the screen, and I can also share with you the link to find out more information about those proposals. So as a conclusion, we don't have the time to stay idle. So far, we have achieved almost the impossible by sitting around the same table. The stage is set. The challenge now is to sustain our impact by capitalizing on what's already being done and continue implementing already tested solutions to preserve, manage, and restore marine biodiversity. The Together for the Med is the representation of a living ecosystem. We represent a chain, a result chain, a lifeline that we have designed together and that we're constantly feeding into from every part of the Mediterranean coastline. And thus, we need new supporters on board to ensure the continuity of these conservation actions and maximize impact. So we invite everyone to meet us and discover our projects. And I invite you all to visit the Together for the Med website and also to contact me and MAVA to discuss more on the ongoing initiatives and on the next phase. Thank you very much.
Merci, Amalia. Thanks, Amalia. We need a couple of minutes pause. Sorry about this, because the connection fell on LinkedIn. So we're trying for 2 minutes to restore it, and then we will pursue. Meanwhile, think of questions, please. Well, apparently it was restored very quickly. So do we have any questions, maybe from the room? Yeah. No, you need to come here and introduce yourself, McLean. Thank you.
Hello to everyone virtual. My name is McLean Heckman. I'm with Safe Flyways, brought on to help with funding and sustainability of our consortium. Thanks, Amalia, for your presentation. Something we've been talking about in the room here in Tunis today has been some of the challenges of engaging local stakeholders around the cultures and habits that they might need to change in terms of achieving the impacts that some of our projects would like to achieve. I wonder if you could just speak a little bit about the challenges and/or lessons that Together for the Med has had in terms of engaging fisheries and folks in the industry, especially, and whether there might be any lessons you could share for others hoping to make cultural impact.
Thank you very much for your question. I think this is very relevant and something that we've all had to deal with during the development and the implementation of the projects. I think the process that MAVA has built had exactly this purpose of choosing the right partners that would be able to disseminate, to have a local intervention and work with local actors, but at the same time be able to represent action to the national and regional scale. We've had processes of engaging with actors at the local level that has given the opportunity for the MAVA's partner to be able to make this impact vertically. Of course, this is a challenge, but this has been built throughout the years. And so to say the marine strategy of MAVA, the last phase, it started in 2017, but it didn't start from scratch. It really capitalized on the results of the partners that have been built throughout the years. And the last phase of the strategy, I think it was really about consolidating the partnerships and the action on the ground, of course, by bringing new stakeholders and local actors on board. As you said, culture does not change one day to another. And so it needs a major investment. But with the support of MAVA, we've been working on the ground for many years, and I think this connection between the local, the national, and the regional has been achieved through a lot of work at different levels and with time. And this is still something that, of course, it's a dynamic relationship between the partners and local stakeholders, but we've very much invested into, in order to achieve impact, to work at the local scale to be able to produce concrete results. And so I hope this answers your question. I'm very happy to talk about specific examples, also have a more separate discussion to do that. But thank you for the question. That was very, very relevant.
Thank you, Amalia. I'm checking if there's more questions from the room. It doesn't seem to be, so we're going to, thank you so much. We're going to pass to our next partnership, which is Safe Flyways. And I welcome José Tavares to the floor. José, there is no sound yet. We're trying to fix this. Please be patient. Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can now.
I think you
go ahead.
Hi, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Paul. Well, here from the middle of the Atlantic, I am currently in the Azores. I say hello to friends and colleagues in Tunis, friends and colleagues across the Mediterranean, friends and colleagues across the world. Thank you, Paul, for convening this meeting, and thank you, MAVA, of course, for all the support that you've been giving us for all these years. I'm here to talk about a program of work called Safe Flyways. Very relevant topic. I know that several of you have not made it out to Tunis. Your plane flyway failed you due to queues in airports and so on. I'm here, of course, to talk about safe flyways for migratory birds and vultures in the Mediterranean. What we have been working on is on three big threats, in fact, the three main threats to migratory birds and birds across the Mediterranean. And this is the illegal killing of birds, the poisoning of birds, and also the mortality due to energy infrastructure. And we've been doing this across the Mediterranean, north, south, and east Mediterranean, cradle of civilization, lots of historical sites, beautiful cities, but also incredible bird biodiversity. And of course, three very important flyways: the Western Mediterranean Flyways, the Central Mediterranean Flyway, and the Eastern Mediterranean Flyway, through which millions of birds fly from their breeding grounds in Central and Northern Europe to their wintering grounds in North Africa and Central and Southern Africa. In these flyways and in this region, there are indeed problems. Illegal killing of birds continues to kill millions of birds annually. Protected species, some of iconic, protected and beautiful species like the white stork or the European bee-eater or the turtle dove, or even the European quail. These birds are caught illegally in mist nets with the line stick traps. They are shot at illegally, killed in many fashions and ways, and some of these does cause population level impacts. Poisoning is also a very big problem in the world, in Europe and in the Mediterranean. It affects mostly scavenging birds, notably birds of prey like this imperial eagle or this Egyptian vulture. And it kills every year thousands of scavenging birds that fall prey to poisoning when they eat poison baits that are usually targeting carnivores due to human-wildlife conflict. And finally, the energy infrastructure. Energy infrastructure does kill mainly soaring birds like storks or eagles, and they kill them when these birds collide against high tension electricity lines, when they get electrocuted in medium tension electricity pylons, or when they collide against wind farms. And let me emphasize here that we are not against the development of renewable energy. This is absolutely necessary in the context of climate change. We just want to make sure that this development of the renewable energy grid will have minimal impact on important biodiversity. What we have been doing, so we, and when I say we, is the consortium of organizations leading this program, and this includes 6 organizations: the Vulture Conservation Foundation, which I lead, BirdLife International, Euronatur, IUCN Med, Tour du Vala, and the Society for the Protection of Biodiversity of Thrace. We have been leading a coalition of 41 NGOs across 24 countries, implementing proven, multifaceted, multidisciplinary tools and actions that have been producing tangible outputs. We do monitoring on the ground, a lot of site-based intervention on priority sites. We work with governments to change legislation and advocate for the better implementation of policies. We work with governments and enforcement agencies to secure better enforcement and judicial processes when environmental crime exists, and quite a lot of the illegal bird killing and poisoning relates to environmental crime incidents. We do a lot of education, outreach, and communication programs. And finally, we take very good care of the sustainability of all our actions by developing capacity across governments, partners, and organizations. And we have indeed been producing great results. On illegal bird killing, for example, we have achieved a 90% reduction in illegal bird killing in certain priority sites, while additional sites have been reporting reductions of up to 70% in illegal bird killing. We work, of course, under a number of frameworks, and perhaps the most sustainable and consistent one is the one provided by the Convention for Migratory Species, that have adopted a strategic plan in Rome called the Rome Strategic Plan that aims to reduce illegal bird killing by 50% by 2030 across the Mediterranean. In terms of poisoning, We, for example, have been working with enforcement agencies and governments to train enforcement stakeholders from 9 countries, mainly in the Balkans, in an initiative that we've created under this partnership called the Wildlife Crime Academy. And we are working with the European Union to try to achieve a EU-wide ban on lead shot in wetlands, which has been approved and will be implemented across the European Union this year. And finally, on the electrocution, on mortality due to collision and electrocution on energy infrastructure, we have, for example, achieved a 40% decrease in collision risk to buried vultures across the Alps due to actions in our projects, and a 45% decrease in electrocution risk in multiple target countries. And here again, we are working under the Convention for Migratory Species Energy Task Force by trying to adopt or develop and adopt national roadmaps towards mitigating further the risk of electrocution and collision. So great results, but the work is not finished. We need to scale up and scale out these exercises. We need to maximize impact. We need to achieve more and further. This, of course, requires some investment. We have the knowledge, we have the strategy, we have the tools, we have the collaborative network. We have been working on sites, we've got the frameworks, we've been engaging with governments. We now need further support to improve, enlarge, increase the impact and the scale of our work, building on our successes and achieving sustainable and durable results. Some of the things that we are planning to do in the future: we want to increase enforcement on illegal bird killing legislation in priority sites across 21 countries, so increasing the geographical scale of our work. We would like very much to have national action plans against illegal bird killing adopted in more than 10 priority countries, so that we indeed achieve a 50% decrease in illegal bird killing across the Med by 2030, which is in the objective of the Rome strategic plan. On poisoning, we would like to extend the EU-wide ammunition ban from lead shot to bullets across the European Union. We would like to increase the training on enforcement techniques and tools through the Wildlife Crime Academy to 18+ countries, so that we achieve a reduction of up to 50% of poisoning incidents in priority countries. And we feel this is achievable and within our reach. And finally, on energy infrastructure, we want to engage more with the energy industry, so that altogether we are invested in solutions to mitigate mortality through electrocution and collision. So, we are very much aiming to energize the CMS Energy Task Force, so that roadmaps are integrated into legislation in at least 6 priority countries, so that we achieve a 40% reduction of bird fatality, mortality by collision and electrocution. We have calculated that all this will cost quite a lot of money. We've already secured about 8.9 million in co-funding, but we still need about 7.3 million to achieve all these targets and outputs. We believe it is possible. We have been working together. This has been extremely successful with a coalition of 41 NGOs across 24 countries. We think that the ambitious objectives that we set ourselves up are within reach, But for that, we need further support and collaboration from multiple stakeholders, including yourselves. In the QR code in the slide, you can find more information about this program, our work, our successes and outputs. And of course, we are happy to answer any questions, both myself here remotely or Barend, Stefan and McLean, which are in the room in Tunis, and very happy to.
Many thanks, Jose. This was a very impressive presentation. We also have to remember that these results have been obtained only in a 7-year period, which is even more remarkable. Do we have any questions in the room? Yes, I see Anis. Could you please come to the podium? Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Just a very quick question regarding your work and how is it connected to the existing network, like the Mediterranean Waterbirds Network or the IWA initiative? Have you any connection with this existing network that are already working on waterbirds conservation in the region?
Yes, so I mean, our program, the Safe Flyways program, mostly focus on migratory birds, including raptors, soaring birds. It does include some target species associated with wetlands. Several of our 40+ NGO partners are indeed participants and members of those networks. I mean, BirdLife International, for example, Euronatur, IUCN are all involved in those networks, and there is quite a lot of exchange of information, best practice, and identification of synergies and so on. But yeah, I think there is quite a lot of overlap and exchanges with those networks. Thank you for your question.
Thank you, Jose.
Do we have any other question in the room? We seem to have a problem with question in the chat. They arrive, but with a delay. As such, I'm going to say thank you, Jose, but we have a question for Amalia, and I call Charlene to explain the question.
Thank you, Paul. Yeah, I just want to share a question that we've received on LinkedIn before we actually moved everyone online on our YouTube channel. The question was from Florence Rossetti, and she was asking if Together for the Med was collaborating with the Met-Sea Alliance.
The Together for the Med is a collaboration between partners that have been implementing projects. And so the Med-Sea Alliance has supported part of our work, but the Together for the Med is a partnership of implementing partners. And so the Med-Sea had joined by supporting some of the projects and efforts, but it's not part of the network itself.
Yes, thank you, Amalia. So it's Mariot from Tunis. Just maybe had a few points on that. Yes, we are currently collaborating with the Met-Sea Alliance. We are talking about the new concept note. We are both developing in the same time for the same region with the same goal and same purpose, try to increase the protection and the efficiency of marine protected area within the umbrella of the target 30 by 30. So we are in contact with Anne-Remy, Agnol, and people from the Met-Sea Alliance, and we are sharing information and progress. And we already start to discuss about the opportunity maybe to set some, let's say, small workshop to discuss about specific term the months coming to maximize how we can develop our concept note and be the more efficient.
Thank you both for your answers. Since I don't see any more questions in the room and we don't have any more in the chat yet, I think we can move to our next coalition presentation, which will be by Liz Dory for the Mediterranean Alliance for Wetlands. Liz?
Good evening. My name is Liz Drury. I work for the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, a member of the Mediterranean Alliance for Wetlands, and I'm pleased to tell you about our alliance and our future ambitions. We will start with a short video, so if the tech team can start our video.
The local people are very connected to the benefits they get from the area. This is the most important thing to us, to raise awareness for what we have and what we have to protect.
This kind of solidarity, this is really what it's about, to get everyone involved in reviving this place.
We want everyone in the community to be able to contribute in some way, and then together they come towards a solution.
C'est un investissement majeur pour les générations futures. Ce qu'il faudra, c'est la continuité, la persévérance. Nous avons des difficultés financières, et ça c'est certain, comme tous les projets, mais nous combattons pour essayer un peu de résoudre ces problèmes.
Wetlands and river basins are among the most vital ecosystems on the planet. While only covering 2 to 3% of the area, they support more than 30% of vertebrates, 40% of unique species, and 36% of threatened species in the Mediterranean, and reduce climate effects by stocking vast amounts of carbon. 5 years ago, our conservation community specializing in regional wetlands and rivers established the Mediterranean Alliance for Wetlands to respond to this crisis. Together, we have developed effective tools and methods to conduct research, on-ground actions, training, and advocacy. We have increased the resilience of 40 wetlands and improved the protection status of 23,000 hectares and 40 kilometres of rivers. We have trained NGOs to implement innovative practices, including nature-based solutions in key sectors, such as agriculture, tourism, and salt production. Our alliance is a unique network of 32 organisations across 15 countries, a platform for cooperation, exchanges, delivering projects, and enabling change. Healthy wetlands and rivers are our best natural answer to the biodiversity, water, and climate crises. They are our life insurance for the future. The members of the Alliance are committed to amplify their impact so our wetlands and rivers are properly protected and restored, remaining the lifelines of the Mediterranean basin. Rivers of the Mediterranean basin are outstanding and very diverse, and so are their challenges. As such, our projects to date have been diverse. Here are some of our success stories from across the region. Our water protection projects included containing 2 major threats: hydropower, mainly in the northern part of the basin, and water abstraction in the south. Rivers in the Iberian Peninsula are widely deteriorated. Some exceptions, such as the Douro in Portugal, are now more vital than ever. The health of the Douro River has been threatened by hydropower. Despite being often labelled as a green energy solution, it has a very high ecological cost. In fact, it can kill rivers. We advocated for protection of the river and alternative energy solutions, which do not come at the cost of biodiversity. Through our advocacy, we were able to prevent the destruction of this great river. In the Balkans, rivers are widely intact and still free-flowing. They are incredible. We call the river network in the Balkans the Blue Heart of Europe. But the Blue Heart is threatened at its core. More than 3,000 hydropower plants are planned. Literally, all rivers are at risk. The queen of the Balkan rivers is Vjosa. The source is in Greece, where the river starts its course as Aos. It crosses the border to Albania and flows as Vjosa to the Adriatic, 270 kilometers of free-flowing river, the last big free-flowing river in Europe. When we started our work, more than 40 hydropower plants were planned in the Vjosa Basin, some of them already under construction. We halted most of the constructions and so far prevented any new dams. Last month, the Albanian Prime Minister announced the plan to designate Vjosa as the first European Wild River National Park. Even more exciting, through our work, a broad movement has been initiated, a movement all over the Balkans for river protection. A movement to show the true value of rivers and advocate the best options for the conservation of the Mediterranean community. And surely this is just the beginning. Now to the other side of the Mediterranean. Northern African and Middle East countries are considered to be among the most water-stressed countries in the world, especially Tunisia, Morocco, and Algeria, where water issues are now critical for all. There is great competition for water resources, and unfortunately, ecosystem needs have not been sufficiently taken into account until now. So we launched initiatives to bring various sectors together, creating dialogue and common frameworks to improve water resource management and integrate ecosystem needs. In this region, the most effective way to combat overexploitation of water was to bring decision makers, scientific experts, civil society organizations, and the local population to the same table. So we initiated projects in 3 river basins, the Mujib in Jordan, the Medjerda, a transboundary system in Algeria and Tunisia, and the Cebu in Morocco. A key achievement has been the Cebu Water Fund, a sustainable water finance mechanism based on the payment for ecosystem services. Through this initiative, we have involved local communities and all stakeholders in the restoration of freshwater lakes in the Middle Atlas. So what else have we achieved? Together as a MAVA community, we've used our combined experience. We created knowledge tools, which we call wetland solutions, to respond to some huge challenges. We designed solutions to stop threats, to protect what remains intact, and to restore what we are losing. To stop threats, we created our red alert system and legal support mechanisms for civil society members. Through these mechanisms, our international experts help local organizations to influence decision makers. Actions involving the Alliance and its nationally and internationally recognized members resulted in successful stories in the Karavasta National Park in Albania, in Ucin Salina in Montenegro, and the Eremitis in Greece. To protect what remains, we worked with local stakeholders to design sustainable management practices for every project site. We focused particularly on sectors that overexploit water and biodiversity, the salt protection, salt production, tourism, fishery, and agricultural sectors. We built the capacity of civil society members to adopt these practices, with financing opportunities to the local communities. Around 250 businesses and stakeholders have benefited from these sustainable practices in the last 2 years, and we aim to implement them in other sites. In terms of restoration, we have made great gains in the field. We have restored 1,000 hectares of wetlands, including the wetland of Dar el Mal here in Tunisia. We have started restoration actions in 40 sites all over the Mediterranean, especially on islands, and identified many other wetlands suitable to be restored. We also have solutions to monitor the success of our restoration and steer management actions. So, what do we do from here? We want to continue our alliance to inspire, mobilize, and upscale wetland solutions. Under the framework of the alliance, we have developed a staged approach initiative, Wetlands for Mediterranean Resilience, where we use our tools, upscale our projects, and broaden our positive impact in civil society. The initiative would assist civil society organizations, government, and private sector to form multi-sectoral partnerships and agree on plans and measures, then to implement landscape scale restoration. We have prepared a series of project ideas, which you can see through this fundraising fair, including the continuation of our alliance itself, which is central to enabling best practice across the region. Our project ideas were designed by our members and propose capacity building, restoration, policy protection, advocacy, and more for rivers and wetlands. These are many activities which could all help lead to our end result of sustainable, resilient, and regenerative systems in the Mediterranean. We invite you to discuss our ambition and the local projects and explore how we can move it forward. Thank you, and we welcome any questions you have. I have some members of our alliance also in the room.
Many thanks, Liz. This was very, very clear and inspirational. Who would have thought a few years ago that we could protect the Salinias of Ulcin? And the work done now in-house, which is most likely going to become a national park. This is all so impressive. We do have a question here in the room, do we? Yes, we have two. So Ezra, please, and then Nizar.
Well, thank you for your presentation, and I have two questions. One is, are you focusing only on large watershed, or are you also considering small island ecosystems? And secondly, what will distinguish your network in comparison to other regional initiatives? Is it more agile, or what is the added value of your alliance? Thank you.
Thank you. I suppose I'll quickly speak about the first question, which we have focused on various sizes of systems, and also within systems, not just the main river branch, but also the tributaries and those small parts that can sometimes have a huge contribution, but be overlooked as something to protect. And perhaps, Anis, are you there to speak about the second question or the first?
Yeah, I can just quickly answer the first question regarding the small islands. Yeah, they are, in fact, they are integrated in the alliance through this MAVA-funded project called Medis-Wet, which aims to develop an inventory of all the wetlands in these small islands all over the Mediterranean basin. And this work is also supported by the alliance. So the Medis-Wet project is linked directly to the development at the end of the alliance, and most of the partners of the Medis-Wet project on Mediterranean islands are also members of the alliance.
Thank you, Anis, for this answer. Here we have Nizar for another question.
First, congratulations for the great work that you are doing. My question is related to the river contract, because we know in several Mediterranean countries, mainly European countries, they are following the methodology of the river contract to do a better management for the rivers and the watersheds. And now we have two projects working on two different water contracts in Lebanon, as you mentioned, and the other side of the Mediterranean. This is a real problem, which is the lack of the watershed management and the water problems, how they can join the network, and how they can benefit from the experience of the network partners.
Liz, do you need some help?
Yes.
I can answer if you want.
Yeah. I was just, I'm trying to follow the screen. Yeah, if someone in the room might be able to answer that one better.
Yeah, I can answer if you want. I can answer Nizar's question. Yeah, thank you, Nizar, for this question. And yes, sure. I think that the river contract is a very good approach, and we've heard about this, and we have seen some experiences in European countries. And I think that this approach could be similar to what we are doing, for example, in Morocco with this Cebu Water Fund. We have talked also about the integrated water management frameworks, how to implement it, which approach we could use. Also, we discussed with some experts on the Nexus approach to combine energy, food security, water security, and ecosystem. Yes, so I will be very happy to learn more about what are this the approach that is implemented in Lebanon, and we can discuss more with these partners and to see how we can work together in the framework of the integrated water management at the river basin, but also how to connect this with the alliance work.
We have received a question in the chat from Julien Semelin from Quartier for Nature, which a lot of you know here. He's asking, and I'm going to just read the question here. I have read several names related to the wetlands partnership, like Mediterranean Alliance for Wetlands, Wetlands for Med Resilience, Wetlands-Based Solutions. Could you please clarify?
I can talk about wetlands-based solutions. So wetland-based solution is the communication campaign from the last program on the MAVA. So this is a communication campaign organized by the MedWet initiative that supported a lot the work of the of our OAP number 3. So that's the MAVA program for coastal wetlands. I can clarify. Yeah.
So the Mediterranean Alliance for Wetlands is a network, 32 organizations, 15 countries. What makes it different from, maybe answering your question too, to what makes it different from other networks is our common interests around wetlands and also the strategies that we have. We want to look at wetlands protection and conservation from a holistic and integrated point of view. So that's why we are proposing not only restoring and protecting, which is part of one of the strategies, but also looking at policies, communication, capacity building to look at things from a wider angle. So the Mediterranean Alliance for Wetlands is a network. It's not a legal entity, it's simply a group of organizations that share an ambition. Wetland Solutions is a communications campaign. And the other initiative, which is Wetlands for Med Resilience, I still have problems with that because it's brand new, is simply an initiative within the Mediterranean Alliance for Wetlands that looks at landscape restoration, landscape scale restoration. And it's a proposal that we are developing, a new program, and but falls under the Mediterranean Alliance for Wetlands. I hope that clarifies.
Thank you for answering these questions. I think that I don't see any other hands and there's no more questions in the chat. So it's time for the next presentation, and it will be the one on our work on cultural landscapes. And I call Emily Caruso to the floor. Emily, please. Thank you.
Hello, thank you so much, Paul. And thank you to everyone who has presented before me. They were really amazing presentations, and I'm truly honored to be presenting alongside you all. I'm Emily Caruso. I'm the Director of Global Diversity Foundation. I'm just gonna share my screen with you now. So, Global Diversity Foundation is a member of the Alliance for Mediterranean Nature and Culture, which is the topic of my presentation today. I'd like to thank everyone here and to thank MAVA for allowing us to present, and thanking all of the audience as well. The Alliance for Mediterranean Nature and Culture, also known as the AMNC, works for a Mediterranean region whose iconic landscapes and seascapes are vibrant with life and culture. The Mediterranean region is one of 36 global biodiversity hotspots. Almost half of the floral diversity and a third of the faunal diversity is native to this region, and rates of endangered species are climbing every year. The drivers of biodiversity loss in this region are abandonment of rural areas, climate change, agricultural intensification, urban development, and invasive species, amongst others. It is notable that the Mediterranean region is likely to be one of the worst hit by climate change through drought, desertification, and wildfires. And yet this is a region where the interactions between humans and landscapes and their seascapes go back millennia and have shaped the unique biocultural diversity of the region. Many of these relationships of mutual reciprocity between people and nature continue to this day, despite the prevailing shift away from rural livelihoods in this part of the world. Our focus on cultural landscapes allows us to take an integrated, holistic perspective, bringing together under one roof regenerative agricultural systems, restoration ecology practices, and sustainable value chains. The phrase cultural landscapes helps us move away from the artificial division between people and nature that so often characterizes the language of conservation. By taking a landscape approach, we embrace multiple ecosystems in dynamic and interactive land use mosaics. This approach allows us to pay attention simultaneously to biodiversity, livelihoods, cultural practices, history, governance, and politics, as well as the broader ecological flows of energy and matter. The AMNC came together in 2017 with funding from the MAVA Foundation as a coalition of communities and organizations working in different parts of the Mediterranean with the same vision: resilient Mediterranean landscapes and seascapes and thriving rural communities that steward them. We are now 13 partners and growing. We operate in 8 countries. Our sites are located in different types of landscapes. So we've got mountainous areas in Lebanon, Morocco, Tunisia, and Turkey, lowland areas in Bosnia-Herzegovina, Portugal, Spain, and Turkey, and the islands of Lemnos in Greece and Menorca in Spain. As I've said, the main aim of the Alliance is to support communities in the Mediterranean to maintain their cultural landscapes, the biodiversity that makes them so unique, and the practices that have shaped them. We have found that while we are all doing great work separately as individual organizations, coming together as an alliance has allowed us to be more than the sum of each part. This partnership makes each of us stronger and our goals more achievable. It also allows us to learn from each other and rapidly build knowledge and expertise that can support others, even beyond the alliance, who are doing this kind of work. Together, we seek to enhance our understanding of the work cultural practices do to maintain ecosystems and landscapes, to communicate and promote the importance of cultural landscapes for the region, to ensure that these cultural landscapes remain inhabited and managed. And to do that, we need to support the local rural economies that keep them alive. We also focus energies on creating and advocating for policies that are supportive of cultural landscapes, on strengthening local, participatory, and traditional governance systems that work to maintain these landscapes, and on enhancing the capacities of communities to maintain them in the face of very rapid environmental and social change. Finally, one of our key strategies is to scale up this approach that we have found so successful in order to help maintain more cultural landscapes throughout the region and build greater connectivity between them. Based on these strategies, we have already achieved significant results over the past 5 years. We have developed tailored monitoring programs in each site to monitor how biodiversity fares when cultural practices are supported. And we've published the results of our work, with many further publications slated to come out over the next few months to cover the full 5 years of our monitoring practice. We have supported the conservation of over 90 native crop varieties and 20 local livestock breeds and recorded 140 new species. We've helped to restore over 100,000 hectares of cultural landscapes and are supporting sustainable farming practices in over 1,000 hectares. We've created seed banks and plant nurseries to conserve endemic, endangered, and economically valuable plant species and crops. And these benefit thousands of rural households who now have access to plants that support them economically and are more climate resilient. We're working on tailored economic mechanisms to help support cultural practices and are supporting the fair and equitable commercialization of almost 100 local and traditional products of cultural landscapes. And we've had these products available for exploration with the 5 senses at the local, at a stand in Tunisia. Relatedly, we're working on labeling and certification systems for these products to enhance their value on the market and support the ecosystems and communities they come from. And we support thousands of local community-based practitioners who are leading the work on cultural landscape management, in particular farmers, especially through land stewardship agreements and other means. With these results in mind, we are now in the process of forging the future, and we need financial support to make that happen. We have synthesized our future plans into 5 main thematic areas, and you can read about these in the individual one-pages we've prepared for each and are available through email. I'll give you a short summary here. The first is sustainable food systems. We all know that intensive industrial farming is one of the greatest contributors to climate change and biodiversity loss. And our goal is to sustain and expand the rural, yet so resilient and productive sustainable food systems that support nature and communities in these regions. To achieve this, we're working on, amongst others, labeling and certification programs, the localization of food value chains, innovative agroecological practices that respect and value traditions while supporting them to innovate in the face of rapid and unprecedented environmental changes. The second theme we're working on is land stewardship, whereby we work with communities, practitioners, landowners, and farmers to support them to maintain their cultural landscapes using a participatory bottom-up approach. This theme is focused principally on capacity building and network building and the real on-the-ground, daily, granular support and presence that is necessary for the longevity and resilience of our program. The third theme is climate change mitigation and adaptation. As I said, in the Mediterranean, climate change is being lived right now in the form of tremendous heat waves, droughts, and fires. It is severely affecting the region's ecosystems, biodiversity, and livelihoods. Our work involves supporting communities to conserve and enhance local drought-resilient agrobiodiversity. It involves ecosystem restoration that ensures water cycles can be maintained even as water becomes scarcer. And it involves locally tailored mitigation and adaptation programs that attend to the ecological and cultural specificities of each site. And the point is that we're learning from each other and from experiences around the world because we really need to shift climate change adaptation and mitigation into high gear in the Mediterranean. It's much more aggressive and faster than we thought it would be. And I say this from central Italy in the Apennines, which is absolutely parched right now. The fourth theme is biodiversity conservation. And here our work focuses on documenting the relationship between biodiversity and cultural practices, advocating for community-based conservation and governance of cultural landscapes, and supporting ecological restoration, rewilding, and targeted conservation actions for endangered species. Our fifth and final theme, and a very important one for the Mediterranean, is pastoralism. We now have evidence that pastoralism is an essential component not only of cultural landscape management, but of climate change resilience and mitigation. Transhuman pastoralism, which is still practiced in many of our sites, provides an essential ecosystem service through biodiversity enhancement, fertilization, the creation of fire breaks, management of biomass, and more. It is also the primary source of livelihood for many Mediterranean communities, whilst also being rapidly devalued as a practice, especially by younger generations. So we focus on ensuring the economic viability and sustainability of the practice, to keep it going over the next generations and to expand it again in some places. We also focus on the all-important policy environment and the recognition of rights, of community rights that will promote the ongoing maintenance and resilience of these practices. And with that, my presentation is concluded. And if you're interested in the work we do, please take note of the email address on the slide, and we'd be delighted to share more information, ideas, and innovations emerging from our work. And thank you very much for your attention. And I look forward to answering your questions with the help of my colleagues in the room in Tunisia. Oh, sorry, yes, I meant to say, we have a video to share. So if the technical team wouldn't mind putting on the video, that would be great. And
Can you hear me? Yes. Thank you very much, Emily, for a great presentation. I have to say that this approach of cultural landscape is extremely original and innovative, and really we are really proud of it, of using the culture to protect nature and nature to keep culture in the communities. I'm sure that there will be questions on this cutting edge topic. Do we have any question in the room? What? You want? Yeah, I see Lina, please. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lina Hansen. I'm with the Prince Albert II of Monaco Foundation. Thank you so much for this presentation. Indeed, very innovative approach that I feel we haven't seen much of to date. So it's really interesting to discover this. I had actually a question which is a bit more overarching, maybe. There seemed to be some potential interest to collaborate between the different various programs, for example, between the Wetlands Initiative and this initiative. And I was just wondering if there is any conversation on synergies between the various programs or alliances in general, also with the birds, with wetlands and the marine. Well, I mean, there can be almost between any and each of the alliances, but yeah, just your take on if there is any overarching discussions on how to collaborate between these different alliances when appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lina. And I'm going to give the floor to Engin, who is the coordinator of the partnership and who is very well aware of all of these issues.
Thank you, Emily. Yes, definitely there is a lot of room regarding the possible collaborations between different WAPs, outcome action plans, and these partnerships. And we already have multiple examples of this, like, for instance, the collaboration with Vulture Conservation Foundation and us in Spain to run a campaign against the use of diclofenac, which does kill vulture species. And our campaign had a message for transhumans to not use this drug. And another one is Food Connected project, which is a M45 project, outcome action plan coming out from that, but it's already including partners from Alliance for Mediterranean Nature and Culture, and also partners from the M3, from the wetlands as well, Lusin Salina. And in a couple of months, we are going to organize with M7 another activity in Balkans, again, focusing on the relation between mobile pastoralism and vulture conservation. So there has been such examples and there has been such dialogues between WAPs, but there will be also more in the coming years. Thank you very much.
Any other question from the room? Or online, maybe? No, nothing yet. Don't hesitate if you're following online, please ask question. But meanwhile, and you can also ask a question for anybody who has been speaking so far, of course, and we'll take them after the last presentation. Speaking of which, I'm happy to welcome to the floor Susan Gallon, who's going to speak to you about our Mediterranean Partnership for Sea Turtle. Susan, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you all. On behalf of our partnership, I would like to thank you all for staying with us tonight. And I'm going to present our adventure so far on protecting marine turtle. So yeah, I'm going to share our adventure so far of our partnership about conservation of marine turtle in the Mediterranean region. And to share this adventure, first, I need to tell you a little bit more about marine turtle that we can find in the Mediterranean. So there's 3 main species that are found in the Mediterranean: the green turtle, the loggerhead, and the leatherback, 2 of them are nesting and breeding in the Mediterranean, the green turtle and the loggerhead marine turtle. And those are the key species that the activity have been or will be carried out on. So the green turtle is an endangered species. The loggerhead turtle is a vulnerable species. But what is important to note is that it's least conserved on a conservation point of view because of the conservation activity that are carried out for this species. So if the conservation activity stop, the status will change quite rapidly in the Mediterranean. Another key fact about marine turtle is that they are long-lived species. It takes more than 20 to 30 years for marine turtle to reproduce, and they may live longer than 100 years. And marine turtle play an important role in the ocean ecosystem, both ecologically. Why? Because they provide key habitat for other marine life. They maintain healthy seagrass bed and they balance marine food webs and facilitate nutrient cycling. While, for example,
Susan, I'm really sorry. Your slide is still on the first one. It's not changed.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, just checking.
Yeah, I'm explaining why marine turtle play an important role in ocean ecosystem. And as I was saying, because they provide, oh, you mean on the first one with the introduction, not on the, with the title, you can't see the marine turtle?
Yes, Susan, you changed the slide. We are only on the first one. So please change the second one. Go to.
Okay, because me, I can see the slides. Can you see that one?
Yes, it's okay now, Susan. You can continue.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. It looks like I always have to go back to the overall page to change the slide. When I'm on it, it doesn't change. So I apologize for that, and I will just do that if that's the best way to make sure that you can follow me. So apologize. So yeah, you were normally seeing that slide with those marine turtle and with the green and loggerhead turtle. So they provide key habitat for other marine life. Why? Because they maintain healthy seagrass bed. For example, green turtle that are herbivore are called the gardeners of the Mediterranean Sea. Why? Because they keep cutting seagrass and help to provide oxygen for all living things. Also, they balance marine food webs and facilitate nutrient cycling because, for example, when loggerhead turtle eat, they break the food in small debris that are used by other organisms. But they are not only ecologically important, they also provide key cultural, social, and economic services to community stakeholders and the tourist industry in general. And as you know, marine turtle face natural challenge. You know, they are affected by climate change and the rise of the sea level. Why climate change is so important for marine turtle is that the sex ratio of marine turtle is driven by the temperature of the sand where they nest. And a change in 1 degree of the temperature can have a massive impact in the population, moving from the current 80% of female marine turtle to 100% possibly. But most importantly, why they are threatened with extinction, it's because of human activities. They are endangered both on land, directly by destruction and disturbance. They are threatened on land and at sea by pollution, and at sea by bycatch mainly. And so, hopefully on the next slide, our partnership have been working since several years across several countries in the Mediterranean, covering for now 9 direct partners, working with a strong governance structure that aggregate like key expertise throughout the Mediterranean to tackle this challenge and provide conservation outcome for marine turtle in the Mediterranean. So these 9 direct partners have direct activity in several countries in the Mediterranean, but also many other countries in the Mediterranean provide from other activity from the project through capacity building activities and training. We are stronger together, and our impact will be valuable and be effective by working together, by sharing experience, by bridging the gap between the North and the South. So I'm really sorry because I always have to change like this, so it's not. Our strategy so far have been based on our partnership, sustainability, and coordination. We've increased knowledge on marine turtle to create baselines for effective conservation strategy. And this is important. It's not knowledge, research for knowledge, but research for knowledge that will have a direct impact for effective conservation strategy. Then we also working on securing long-term buying for sea turtle conservation by bringing together partners that are working at the local level, at the national level, and the regional level. This is a strength of the partnership to bring this diversity together. And we worked on scaling up site protection through many different activities dedicated to knowledge, but also to experience sharing or more technical activities. Our main result so far from the previous phases have been to increase the ability to monitor and to conserve marine turtle and their habitat. How? Because we managed to develop harmonized monitoring nesting program implemented in 10 different Mediterranean countries. Some new data have contributed to complete the nesting Mediterranean picture. Working closely with the Made by Catch project, we contributed to the development of national stranded network in 7 countries. Many regular training and capacity building activity were organized both on-site and online. Also, we improved the knowledge regarding sea turtle movement in foraging area and development ground. How? By providing good and current data for setting conservation priorities. And this has been done thanks to the extensive collaborative scientific research with more than 700 genetic analyses, nest and sun temperature taken in more than 250 nests. More than 700 stable isotope profile have been also collected and analyzed. In addition, national action plan have been discussed and approved throughout the project. This project also contributed to improve collaboration between scientists and managers, as we are a partnership made of scientists, managers, NGOs. So we created a well-connected network of experts within our partnership, but also beyond, reaching out to other expert groups and key partners throughout the Mediterranean. Throughout the project, we raise awareness of regional and national targets on marine turtle issue in the Mediterranean by collaborating with many NGOs around the Med, by our communication program, by a dedicated website, by awareness activity. And again, a key aspect is that we always work locally, nationally, and regionally for carrying out all these activities. We had dedicated campaign and awareness campaign for the authorities, for stakeholders, and for local society. And we also strengthen good practices for the protection of those key species by implementing fishing and touristic strategy, by monitoring activity on non-indigenous species, and also ecotourism program developed again both locally, nationally, and solution shared regionally. So our main goal is to protect, maintain, and restore marine turtle population in the Mediterranean through our strong partnership to tackle widespread threats, to promote conservation and enhance population. This is possible through the success of key activities carried out in the previous phase, such as the identification of the development of the identification of important marine turtle area. In previous phases, we identified the key process and criteria for identifying this important marine turtle area. And the next phase is to identify them in the Mediterranean, because our work is key at the spatial level to identify the key tools that will make a difference for the conservation of marine turtle. And those important areas offer a means of identifying those areas that needs to have more effective conservation measures in place. We also encourage regional and national legislation, alignment of national action plan, and support the implementation of regional policy. We will also continue to advance monitoring and reporting to build technical capacity and improve the management and protection of nesting sites, while also building on existing regional networks and creating new ones for stranding and promoting knowledge exchange and raising awareness. This partnership will be strengthen and expand to continue to drive the communication and awareness for the conservation of marine turtle and critical habitat for in the Mediterranean. So this partnership for marine turtle in the Mediterranean is unique. It's benefit from a strong governance and through its core member and steering committee, and it will continue to grow. We have already secured some co-funding, and we'll be happy to discuss more for this event. So I hope you have seen, and I apologize for the technical glitch, but through your support, we will continue to conserve marine turtle to enhance their population and safeguard that have important not only for population of marine turtle, but also beyond that, for the services that they provide both ecologically, the habitat, socially and economically by supporting the local community. And finally, I would like to invite you to watch the trailer of a movie to finish that short presentation. And again, I thank you, and you can see we've got a dedicated website where you can find more information. So we've got a trailer of a movie, My Name in Blue, that I invite the technical staff to share just now. Thank you again.
The Mediterranean Sea, child of the Atlantic Ocean, created eons ago. A blue miracle. We thrive by settling along the coastlines and river shores, benefiting from a mild climate that allows us to survive, multiply, and develop impressively quickly.
Unless humanity, people change, there's going to be no turtles, no planet, no people, nothing.
This is plastic and this is proof. It has blocked the entire infested canal.
Part of my purpose in life is protection of this beach. I spoke, and what happened? They began to listen.
Thank you. Thank you, Susan, for your presentation, for pulling through despite of all the glitches. Do we have any question in the room for this presentation? Yorgos, please.
Hello, I'm George from the Conservation Collective. We had the chance to discuss about it earlier in the lobby, but it would be nice to hear what are the main conservation challenges that the species is facing on the southern part of the Mediterranean, and what are the main implementation challenges that the organizations that are trying to implement the projects face. We know a lot about the northern part and the European part and the European beaches and the European shores, but we don't know enough about what is happening on the southern part. So
I can provide a start of an answer, but then I will let any of my partners complement that. I'm thinking of the Sparak or also Jakub in Turkey. I would say that many of the challenges are similar in some way when you think of pollution of bycatch, both on land and at sea. Nesting area, I would say that a lot of work was dedicated to awareness activity to have, the local population aware of the importance of marine turtle and to kind of protect themselves, because when you want to, protection measure on land is a lot to do with nesting protection. And it involves also a lot of capacity and also on the regulation side about what you can carry out. But also the success is key by the local people working there, carrying out awareness activity. But not only, there's also, a method of cage where you can protect nest. So I think, as I said, there's threat on land, both on land and at sea. Those are similar everywhere. The solutions are often similar. After it's the implementation phase where there's a lot of capacity activity and awareness activity carried out in the south. And please, Jakub or Lomnak, you can complement that.
Okay. Thank you, Suzanne. So thanks to this project, we, as said by Suzanne, we did a lot of training for the people from the South Mediterranean country, and they started working on the monitoring of nesting. And here, with the data that we collected, we completed the picture from data coming from Libya and from Egypt, from Lebanon, Tunisia, we had already, but also people trained, did the work in Algeria and Morocco, and not only with scientists, but also MPA manager. And in the other level, we succeed to support the elaboration of national action plan. This national action plan was done by people from this country, discussed at national level and adopted. So, and we can now say that we have a good trained people on the field, collecting data for nesting, for temperature, for genetic, for stranding, and also we are working closely with the bycatch project, collecting data also on the interaction between the species and the main fishing activity that impacted this. So within this also project, we succeed to produce the status of marine turtle in Libya. This was a puzzle that is not really, we completed with this project, this puzzle and this picture in the Mediterranean. So I think now we have a good network of people well trained, and also with NGO, because this NASNet, what is born also within CEPF, is complete, because as partner we are working in the different region, but we complement and we exchange the good practices. So hopefully also you can add that there is a lot of publication, science publication will be done very soon.
Well, thank you. That's a very important question, actually, and shows importance of the migration of the turtles. If you are doing well on the nesting beach, and if you are not protecting them in the wintering ground or the wintering grounds, feeding grounds, this doesn't mean that you are protecting enough the species. And this is why our Mediterranean turtles actually entered to the Mediterranean from Atlantic and colonized in Libya in the first case, 110 or 120 million years ago. So this is the first colonization happened in Libya. And we need to understand structure of the Libyan colony and the genetically and all the other information. Obviously, our colleagues in Libya and the friends in Lebanon or Egypt, and we are now following the same protocol. When we found a dead turtle, what to do? When we found a nest, what to do, and things like that. And that's the strength of this partnership that we created thanks to the support of MAVA. This is very important. That's why we want to continue in the same manner for the next 3 years. Also, Lobna mentioned, we are composed of very nice mixture of both scientists, managers, NGOs, and all we need is to work together. And that's very important. And all the beaches have a kind of wetland or river behind. It's not that just we are protecting the turtles, we are protecting the wetlands and the beach and the marine ecosystem. It's an entire ecosystem that we are focusing. Although the flagship species is the turtles there, but we are focusing on the entire beach and the marine ecosystem in general. We can talk more, but obviously, our time is limited, but we would be very happy to answer if you have further questions. Thank you for this question. Thank you. Any other question in the room? I think people are tired enough, or I will leave the floor.
Thank you, Jakub. I think, yes, people are tired, but I still would like to ask online as well in the room, do you have any final question for everybody online? It's not mandatory. We can also stop now. It seems that we're going to stop now. Thank you very much. Thanks to everybody online for accompanying us, despite of the technical problems initially. I just wanted to say that this session has been recorded and will be accessible online on both YouTube and LinkedIn. And also, please reach out to us, to MAVA directly, to any of the partnerships or partner organization. You have the contact. It will be, it's on screen when you look at the recording. Thank you so much. And we're really, once again, very proud of our community of partners and very confident that although MAVA is closing, they will continue to carry our legacy in the future. So thank you to all of you partners. Thank you to all fellow donors who have already started to take the baton that we have held to you to continue on our MAVA heritage. And I'll close on that. Thank you for a great session. Bye, everybody.